Mortgage rates are back up to nearly 7% again this week. But what does that mean for the Dallas real estate market? Hello, my name is Michael. I'm a real estate agent here in the Dallas area, and every Monday I give you a weekly update covering all of Dallas County, and this week we're starting Collin County. We'll be covering both cities and zip codes so you can know exactly what is going on here in the market. We're looking for trends, which cities and zip codes are the hottest if you may be looking to sell your property, where can you get top dollar, as well as which cities and zip codes are the coolest if you may be a buyer or investor looking for a good deal. We'll also be tracking mortgage rates as well as mortgage purchase applications, as that's our best leading indicator of what demand is going to look like 30 to 90 days from now. We're looking at things like median list price, days on market, how many homes have had price decreases, what's inventory looking like, and if you stick around until the end of the video, I do a top 10 list ranking the top 10 hottest cities and zip codes as well as the top 10 coolest cities and zip codes. And that's actually my favorite part of the video, so stick around, you don't want to miss it. If all this sounds like something you're into, make sure to hit the subscribe button. And if you're looking to move to the Dallas area, whether it's next week or next year, I'd love to connect. I've helped every one of these yellow dots find their little piece of Texas, and I'd love to help you too. Just call, text, or shoot me an email. All that info is in the description below. Okay, today is May 22nd. Let's see what the data is telling us this week. And if this is an old video, you can click up here somewhere, and hopefully it will take you to the most current weekly update video. Okay, for 3 weeks in a row now, the market has been heading straight up. Interest rates had been trying to break below 6.5%, and actually there were 3 days over the last few weeks where rates did close below 6.5%, but then immediately they shot back up. But even with rates above 6.5%, every week we were seeing an increase in the number of people applying for mortgages, suggesting that buyers are getting used to these higher rates above 6.5%. But this is the first time since the beginning of March since rates have been this high. And if you'll remember, every time we get up here around 7%, demand dries up and people stop applying for mortgages. So not surprisingly, with rates climbing last week, we saw a 4.8% decrease week over week of people applying for mortgages. So you can think of this as a 4.8% drop in demand. So people are still extremely sensitive to mortgage rates. They're getting more comfortable with 6.5, but they are not getting comfortable with 7. So let's start with mortgage rates. So we're starting this week at a 6.9%. If you'll remember last week, we started at a 6.55 and just basically climbed straight up the entire week and ended on Friday here, where we're starting this week at a 6.9. But just how big of a deal is a 0.4% move? Well, on a $400,000 home, it means you'll have to pay about $85 a month more this week for your mortgage than you would have last week. So it's a pretty big deal. Again, why I keep saying don't wait to buy a home assuming that you know what's going to happen next. Buy a home, and when rates finally do cool off, you can just refinance down. Rates are eventually going to drop, but nobody knows when. Ignore the headlines and make the best decision you can with the things that actually are in your control, like locking in a monthly payment you know you can afford today. And if you're still not sure if this is the right time to buy a home, please watch this video. Okay, let's move on to housing data. Okay, starting out with Dallas County, and what we use here is the market action index, and all it does is take all of this data on the side here, put it into one easy graphic with one easy number to read. Anything below a 30 is considered a buyer's market. Anything above that, and we're asking how much of a seller's market is it. As you can see here in Dallas County, it's a strong seller's market still. We're at a 57, which is up from last month. This gray bar is where we were a month ago. This is not surprising as we're in a spring market, but let's just see. Median list price did drop a little bit this week, but what we're going to look for is the overall trend, not the weekly data, because the weekly data is a bit more noisy. We can see still the median days on market has been this way for like 5 weeks, right at 28. The number of houses having price decreases is still totally normal at 34%. Inventory, no significant increase or decrease. This is totally balanced. This is not what you want if you're a buyer. You want this number to be climbing, which it is in some markets, as we'll see in a minute. But overall, not a huge change week over week. We're still very strongly in a seller's market. And for example, just so you can see why we don't look at the weekly, we look at this darker line, which is the 90-day moving average, and you can see that it's still moving up, whereas if you're just looking at the weekly, it looks like it took a sharp drop this week. So just remember, weekly data is noisy. You really want to stick to the 90-day. That's how you spot a trend. Let's move on to Collin County. This is the first time we're doing this one. Collin County, not as hot of a seller's market as Dallas. You can see we're barely up from last month. Again, median list price looks like it took a dip this week, but it's the exact same days on market at 28, exact same number of homes having price decreases at 34%, but you can see their inventory has been climbing way more than it has been in Dallas. So that's good news for you buyers looking to get in the suburbs of Dallas. And the same here, you can see the dark line, which is the stronger trend, is definitely moving up, even though the weekly looks like it took a sharp drop. So you want to rely much more heavily on the dark line. And if you'd like to be put on a search like this so you can get this all weekly for even your specific city or specific zip code anywhere in Dallas or Collin County, just shoot me a text with your name, a good email address for you, and which city or zip code you want to be set up on. So big news of the week, Rates jumped up. We don't know exactly how that's going to shake out yet. We don't know how long they're going to stay this high. But as you saw in mortgage purchase applications, rates getting up around 7% still means demand is going to drop. So too soon to tell anything. We'll have to see how long rates stay this high as well as how high they go. But now let's move on to my favorite part, the top 10 ranked charts. Okay, we're starting here with the top 10 hottest cities in all of Dallas and Collin County. Number 1, 2, and 3 is Grapevine, Lewisville, and Carrollton. Those are always super hot markets. Those are the only ones above 80, followed by Plano, Allen, Irving, Duncanville, Sachse, Richardson, Coppell, and Garland. So everything is above a 70 until we get to Garland. And Garland is actually a number 11. These two have an 11th, whoops. But just know that if you live in any of these cities, then you live in the top 10, well, 11 hottest cities in the entire Dallas and Collin County areas. Now we like to go from city and zoom into specific zip codes. And I'm actually surprised to see that the number 1 hottest zip code in all of these areas is Plano 75023, followed by Grapevine 76051, Carrollton 75007, Irving 75063, Plano 75075, Plano 75025, Allen 75013, Lewisville 75067, Grand Prairie 75052, Frisco 75035, and Garland 75044. So these are literally the hottest zip codes, and again, this is the 90-day moving average, so the more reliable number. So if you live in any of these, you're going to be able to sell your home for top dollar. And then this last box is becoming less relevant every day as things heat up. There are so many markets that specifically this week were at a level 100. I'm sure if I made this list 20 or 30 long, there are a ton of zip codes that were at a level 100. So I think I might be taking this one off in future videos. We'll see, but just take a quick glance at these, see if you're in any of these and you just know your market had a really good week. Again, not very reliable data. We really like to rely on the 90-day. But let's move on to the coolest markets. Okay, the coolest cities. Farmersville is the absolute coolest. Remember, a 30 and below is a buyer's market. So Farmersville is at a 35.72, very close to a buyer's market. Doesn't look to be climbing at all either. Followed by Ferris, Blue Ridge, Prosper, Van Alstyne, Seagoville, Leonard, Sunnyvale, Royce City, and Nevada, Texas. Now, I know some people will call this Nevada, some people will call it Nevada, but for some reason here, people call it Nevada. Now moving on to the coolest zip codes, Farmersville 75442, Dallas 75212, Ferris 75125, Dallas 75219, Dallas 75209, Blue Ridge 75424, Dallas 75235, Dallas 75203, Prosper 75078, Dallas 75205. So these are the absolute slowest zip codes in all of Dallas and Collin County. If you're looking for an opportunity to buy or invest, this is where you should be looking. This is where you are most likely to not get into multiple offer situations. And then here, looking at this week, the absolute coolest, this is a little more helpful than the hottest markets, which are just all at 100. You can see here there were a lot of markets that were acting like a buyer's market this week. Pretty much all of these except Grand Prairie was barely not a buyer's market. All these are below 30. So look through these zip codes real quick. There may be some opportunity there for you this week if you're looking to invest somewhere. Okay, the last thing we look at is inventory. Again, this box is the weekly. It's the less reliable, but we use it to see if we can spot any early trends. And actually, now that we've added Collin County, things are looking a little bit more hopeful than when we just had Dallas County, because as you can see in Dallas, no significant increase. Things are just flat, which again means if rates drop at all, you would expect this to continue dropping. But good news is when we add places like McKinney, Prosper, Frisco, Plano, even Royce City, Rockwall, I don't know how Rockwall got in there, it's its own county, and Salina, all of these look to have flattened out and are already starting to trend up. You can see it specifically here in Plano. Even though it's a pretty hot city, the inventory is building up. That's what you want to see as a buyer. Okay, so what do you guys think? How big of a deal are these mortgage rates climbing going to be on the market this spring? And remember, if you're looking to buy or sell anywhere in the Dallas area, whether it's next week or next year, I'd love to connect. Just call, text, or shoot me an email. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.